Kia ora, my name is Craig Murray, and you have tuned into the New Zealand Small Business and Entrepreneur Festival podcast. Today we have Craig Hudson, current Managing Director of Xero Aotearoa, and I'm very pleased and honoured to have a little bit of his time. Xero are our naming partners for the New Zealand Small Business and Entrepreneur Festival. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in Craig to the stream. Kia ora.
Kia ora, Craig. Thanks for having me, mate.
No worries. It's super cool to have you on board. And I would like to thank Xero to start with for being the naming partner of our festival in April and in November next year. One in Wellington, one in Auckland. It's going to be super cool.
Yeah,
it's going to be cool, and great timing because everything's going to be hopefully back to normal. Well, it's not the new normal anyway. We'll be able to roll into a super cool 2022, 2023 and moving forward. Hey, I know we've got about 32 minutes, so I'm going to crack into this one straight away. And the question I ask all of our guests very first is, what was your first ever job? And I'm talking about job that you got from your parents or your parents' friend or at school or whatever that might have been. And then if you could just roll into your sort of professional career origin story to how you got to where you are now.
Okay, sweet. So first paid job.
First paid job.
Okay. First paid job, when's that? Fifth form, was with a local scrub cutter. And so cutting sides of hills of people's properties with pretty meaty equipment. Started before school finished, but it sucked. I hated it because it then flowed into summer holidays and he got the job for the council. So we were pulling weeds and cutting stuff on Mount Maunganui, so I could see all my mates on the beach and hanging out at Copenhagen Cones while I'm sweating buckets. Just horrible. But I got money at least, which was awesome. A little bit of hard work never killed anybody. So that was the first official job. It's been a bit of a squiggly line to leadership where I am today, to be honest. And I don't think we're going to have time to be able to dive into it super deep. But I started off professional rugby was my ticket out because I didn't go to school to learn, really. School wasn't really for me. I failed everything. Sport was my happy place. So I was fortunate enough to be able to pull off a professional career for a few years and traveled the world and played with some incredible players under some incredible coaches. And then my body gave up. Got a virus that attacked my heart. So I was forced into retirement at 23. And I had to figure out what the hell am I going to do. Fell into sales because I had no other training. Tele sales, then on the road sales role for a company called McFall Fuel down in Tauranga. They were based out of Te Awamutu. And that's kind of where I cut my teeth in commercial, to more holistic approach to business, and learned quite a bit there in the 6.5 years. Took them on a heck of a journey from 4 and a bit million to over 100 million revenue, which is pretty cool, and a full digitization program too, which meant that I was able to see the benefit of using technology. And then I moved to the other side of the world and joined Xero 7 and a bit years ago as a telesales rep. I went from leading that McFall Fuel with 50 odd people, being the commercial lead there, to on the phones, no people. It was so good. I didn't have to worry about anybody else but me. It was great for a little while. And yeah, Xero gave me the pathway to where I am today. 2.5 years up in the UK and moved home 5 years in a month. 5 years in the seat as Managing Director of Aotearoa, which is pretty special.
I'm going to ask you a question about your heart issue, because the reason why, there's this very good synergy here. Last March, I was going for a jog. I fainted and I ended up having to be rushed to the hospital, and I had an aortic valve replacement, which it didn't grow from when I was born. No one knew about that.
Undiagnosed.
Undiagnosed, yeah. So I went for a jog, and I didn't see my kids again or family for a month because we're on lockdown, and it was pretty interesting. And actually, it was actually it's a weird way, probably one of the best things that's ever happened to me, because it's made me do what I'm doing now, which is it was the obstacle that was in my way to make me go into my own thing, and that's what I'm doing now. So it was good for me. And what happened to you?
What happened to me? So we're I was in a really crap environment, to be honest. Worcester Warriors, the psychological safety was pretty much zero. The players were treated like shit. Coaches were pretty average. A lot of fear. So I protected the younger players a lot and took a lot on. So ended up overtraining and pushing too hard. I got the flu jab and then caught the flu not too long after that, and the virus morphed into attacking my chest. So I was training one day, similar story to you, Craig. I just running to the halfway line and back. They had a heart rate monitor on me because I wasn't feeling that great that morning anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I took that one off, put a new one on, went to the 22, and I can remember the physio, New Zealand guy, Keasty waving his arms at me, and I can't remember anything else. Got airlifted to hospital. My heart rate sat at about 260 beats a minute for 45 minutes. Almost tapped out. If I wasn't in peak performance, then I probably wouldn't be here today. But yeah, it was pretty scary, but that there wasn't anything structurally wrong, which is good. So no long-term hard impact, just effectively chronic fatigue issues. And I got to maintain what I do and pay attention to the physical activity that I do, because I can't do what I used to do. My body just doesn't cope.
Well, there's some alignment there. We've both had some significant heart issues. And I'm similar. I take warfarin, so I can't have any or much alcohol, but I can do pretty much everything else apart from ride mountain bikes. How I used to ride them when I used to just do big jumps, and if you fall off, it's a little bit different. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We could talk about it though. Another question I ask everyone as well is if you've got a brand that has made an impact on your life. Well, not so much your life, but a brand that's made an impact on you, and why that brand has made an impact.
So I think we're talking a little while about this, Craig, and I think there's two for me, if I can go with two. So I think the first one, I'd have to go with the All Blacks. And being that from the age of 2, that was the dream, right, to be an All Black, and the mana and the essence that comes with that. But if you look at the recalibration of the All Black culture, that happened when was that? When a good chunk of the Canterbury team moved into the All Blacks, and we started to create this mantra of what the All Blacks was. You left the jersey in a better place. If you've ever read the book Legacy by New Zealand James Kerr, then it basically distills what that culture was, and that me being part of that, and coming from the Crusaders environment and then into the New Zealand Sevens environment, I think that wholeheartedly has had a massive impact on who I am and how I lead today as a person, as a business leader as well, being able to take a lot of that through. And if I then look at one that impacted me before, or kind of almost about the same time, would be Live Strong. So I was a huge Lance Armstrong fan. The story of the Phoenix coming from the ashes of testicular cancer to an 8-time winner. Even though it turns out that he's a cheat now, but at the time he impacted me. And just seeing the work that Live Strong does, the yellow bands that just went all over the world, and the message and the money that was raised, and the awareness, and then and seeing someone like Aaron Cruden, for instance, that went through it here in the rugby world in New Zealand, and getting a personal message from Lance as well. Like, that stuff's quite impactful at the time when people really need it. And Live Strong's still going strong today as well, to be honest, even though Lance has had his issues. But at the time, that really impacted me, of the doing something for good when you have a platform like Lance does, and that's kind of what I've tried to take a little bit. I've got the platform with Xero. What can I do for good? Which is the mental health stuff that I kind of lean into.
That is the perfect segue into our, I suppose, the theme of our podcast is going to be about workplace well-being. First question I want to ask you, if you could define what workplace well-being is in your definition.
Yeah, crikey. Everyone's got a different thing, right? A different definition of what well-being can be. So for me, it's taking a holistic approach to every individual to create an environment where they can thrive. So if we're able to do that individually, then the collective is much stronger. And sometimes you might need more weight in your psychological safety. Others, it's more physical. Others, it's more alignment to purpose or whatever it might be. But we're all at different levels and at different stages. And as leaders, we need to understand where you need to up weight and down weight and focus to be able to get the best out of every individual in your team. Because if you go with a broad brush, then it's just not going to happen, because we're all different and we all have different motivators and different shit happening in our lives that are impacting our ability to front up at work. So, yeah, I think that in a nutshell is my definition.
Everyone is different, like you just said, and everyone has their own different challenges that's going on, whether it's at work or at home or whānau, or whatever that might be. How do you know, or what are some indicators if your team is not doing okay, and what sort of things, what sort of steps can you take to approach that?
You need to understand baseline. So if you don't understand baseline, you don't see stuff. And you need to know your people. So you need, first and foremost, you need to invest in them and understanding who they are, what they do outside of work, what motivates them, like I said before, what challenges them, and what their aspirations are. So if you take my own example, when I came back to take over the New Zealand Xero business, I would be one of the first in the office every day. I'd park up on a stool with my laptop by the door so I could see everybody coming in, and I could say hello to everybody, get to know everybody, and embed myself into their world. And then when they come in the next day, something's not quite right. Yeah, what's up? Or you create an environment where you can then say the conversation you had yesterday about them going for a mountain bike ride with their kids. How was your mountain bike with your son that you said you were going to do last night? Showing that you care about them and that you actually listen. Because a lot of the time it's just like, how you going? Yeah, good. And then you move straight on as a leader, or you're going straight to the, you're just going straight past. You don't really take time to invest in them, and then they're able to open up and remove the mask a little bit more when they trust you. And that takes time. It definitely does take time, but it's a conscious effort that I think we all need to do as leaders.
So I suppose, what are some of the tactics that a leader can help develop that part of their work culture?
It depends on who you are as well as a leader, right? So it's not all about being all the soft stuff and having to jump straight in, because a good chunk of individuals feel quite uncomfortable with that. There's an element of the new leader needs to be more vulnerable than what they are today. So remove the mask of perfection. So leaders can't be perfectionists anymore, or can't portray a sense of perfection, because it's not attainable by everybody, and everybody needs to have an aspiration to be you and to connect to you. And if you're perfect, nobody can connect. So you need to be a little bit more real. You need to have better conversations and more conversations about you and things that are happening to you. And that will then create this connection that we've kind of struggled with individuals a little bit when we're a traditional business type. We're here to do business, leave your bags at the door. We don't care about what the stuff is at home or in your personal life. You've come to work to do a job. Whereas I encourage people to bring their baggage into the building. Because my kind of mantra is I want people to be able to leave my place of work in a better place than they arrived, because then that has a ripple effect to their household and to their community that we wouldn't be able to do if you just get them to leave their shit at the door and fake it. Okay, I don't want people to have to fake it like I did for many years. Yeah.
And perfection is objective, isn't it, as well? So what's perfect for someone is not actually perfect for another one. And then if you're thinking, like as an example, for a piece of media or a bit of content, you might think that it's perfect, but it's really, when it goes out to your audience or your community that you're sending it to, it doesn't really matter if it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally. And that's the lens that we look through, right? So it's imperative that we look through and walk in other people's shoes, look through their eyes and walk in their shoes to understand reality, because we all have our sense of our own core values and our beliefs and our past, which influences what we see and how we interpret things in front of us. But as a leader, you have to mirror the organization. You have to mirror your customers, and you have to mirror what's in front of you, not your own lens and your own perception, because majority of the time, 99%, your perception is wrong. And you need to be able to lean into that and understand what's coming at you. And there is a little bit of psychology that you're going to have to lean into, and reading people and taking time to ask questions and truly listen, so that you can mirror what people want from you, rather than you be the dictatorial leader of the past, that those days are done. People demand better of leaders now.
Are you familiar with any sort of courses or books that could really help a leader? Because there's the leader who may not be very skilled in that sort of space and needs to sort of upskill it in that area. Is there anything that you know that could really help someone?
So the course that really helped me in the early days was one that was part of Auckland University. I think it's called Leadership Mindset, based out of Auckland University, the business school there.
Yep.
Dr. Lester Levy started that, I think. That was a good number of years ago now, when I was with McFall Fuel. But what that did for me was I was able to label some of these things that I was already doing. So reframing, for instance, how to reframe a situation for an individual. You might, because I'm uneducated, I haven't been through years of corporate life, so I don't have the speak. I haven't been through education, so I don't have the knowledge or the terminology to be able to put to things. So I kind of feel like I'm just making shit up all the time, where actually there's a framework that somebody is able to go, oh, you do this. But it's really important that you're able to label it, so that you can tame it. So yes, I do encourage you leaning into a little bit of that, a little bit of training, a little bit of reading. You don't need to go to courses, I don't think, hugely at the moment, because there's enough out there for you to lean into. Some authors for you would be Patrick Lencioni, Five Function of a Team, a good one. He's got a good number of books to lean into, exceptional, I think. Simon Sinek would be another one, so leaning into the work that he's doing, and Brené Brown would be another one to be able to lean into too. Would be three, I think, for me.
We'll make sure that we'll link to all those authors in the show notes. One of my goals is to try and get Simon Sinek to come to the SME Festival. Probably not this year coming. He'd be quite expensive, but maybe a couple of years.
It's an awesome goal. Look, I listened to him when he was in Auckland a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's online everywhere, right? So if you lean into some of his stuff, it is quite powerful. Him
and Gary Vaynerchuk, two people I really want to have at SME Festival. Hey, how does workplace wellbeing improve a business's output?
How does it? Because you have a better performing team, more sustainable, more profitable, more connected. The research that we did a little while ago, because of the fact I was having too many conversations where business owners will go, yeah, whatever, all this soft stuff, I've got a business to run, mate. So now I have some numbers to go, well, if you've got a business to run, maybe you might want to do it, because you get a return on investment for that. So the return on investment, based on the international research that we did with the NZIER, independent research house out of Wellington, showed on average it's a 5-to-1 return. So if you invest in $1 in wellbeing for your team, you get a $5 back. So that is, for anybody in business, it's a great return on investment. And those that aren't doing it and they think they've got a good business, imagine what your business could be if you did. So encouraging people to take just the baby steps. So that's why we develop the check-in, not the chicken, the check-in.
The check-in.
The check-in that my wife, who runs a wellbeing business, Fuel Your Wellbeing, helped author 5 pretty simple steps to be able to lean into. It's effectively about building connection with your people and understanding them. And that is the first step for me. We've also released one just recently for sole traders. So if you're a contractor or a sole trader, how do you look after yourself as well? Because we do have over 370,000 sole traders in New Zealand who do some incredible work. They need to look after themselves too, but they also need to know how. So there's a sole trader check-in and a business employing business check-in as well.
And sorry, whereabouts can they find that?
If you just Google Xero check-in, then you'll be able to, it'll be directed to the landing page that's on Xero.com.
And so can anybody access that?
Anybody can access that. You don't have to be a customer. We've put it out there for every business. Yeah,
that's amazing. We'll definitely make sure that that is in the show notes as well. So for anyone out there who needs to check in, and you can check into the Xero check-in. Do businesses need to develop a wellbeing strategy similar to like a marketing strategy or a brand strategy or a business strategy?
Depends where you are on your journey of your wellbeing. So if you go back to what we're just talking about with the check-in, the fifth step is investing more in wellbeing, which is effectively coming up with more of a strategy and putting more programmatic things in place. There's actually majority of the basic stuff. It's not programmatic. It's not about having this wellbeing thing that sits on the side. You need to embed it into the way that you do work and a way that you connect with your people. So a lot of it's around connecting to purpose, getting to know them. So the basic steps, and that you don't need to have strategy or investment. And majority of SMEs don't have HR departments. They don't have expertise in this stuff. So we've tried to make it as simple and as easy as possible to be able to go, right, I think I can do that. I can have an impact on my people because I do it. So let's give it a go. Rather than saying, yes, you need to have a budget of 100 grand, you need to get this consultant to come in, and here's all of these things that you're going to have to do every month, and have fruit bowls and yoga and all this other stuff that comes along with it. All that stuff, it's just basic, simple human connection to the business, connection to the purpose, has the biggest impact.
What do you think is the biggest misconception about workplace wellbeing?
That it has to be programmatic, and it's really hard. It's actually really not. You just got to show you care, build psychological safety within organizations, build trust, lead with vulnerability, and people will follow you. They crave it. We all crave it. It's just that we don't see it very often. And when you do get a leader that is like that for you, then it's so impactful on us. And I think the listeners and you too, Craig, probably have had an individual in your lifetime, whether it be a teacher, one teacher, an auntie, an uncle, or an employer that truly believed in you and saw something in you that you didn't believe in yourself. And you can probably name and see that person while you're thinking about, have I got someone like that in my life? And I know I do. I've got someone that believed in me more than anybody else. And it is super impactful. But I don't understand why, as business people and in organizations, as leaders, we don't try and be that every day for our people. But everybody has a superpower. It's up to us to be able to unlock what that superpower is. And if it's not working, it's on us. We have to fix it. It's not the individual's problem. It's we haven't communicated properly. We haven't aligned them to purpose. They don't have role clarity, and that's on us. So how do we solve it rather than making it the individual's problem?
My person is Pablo Ricard from Raglan. He was my Kyokushin, so I do martial arts. And I had to leave Raglan, moved down to Wellington, and it was the year that I was going for my black belt. So this was 11 years ago. And I was like, I'm going to pull out. I'm not going to do it. He's like, mate, you can do it. You just got to go train. And then he kept on checking up on me, and I did it. And it was the rest is history. Anyway.
Yeah, mine's Ian Spragan. Ian Spragan used to be my high school or my primary school principal at Bellevue Primary in Tauranga. My dad left when I was 3 months old, didn't have a father figure. He kind of was it, and really believed and gave me a pathway in rugby that I didn't believe was possible.
Are there any businesses out there that you think have the workplace wellbeing like super dialed in? And if you know that business, what do you think is their secret sauce? Like, what are they doing that makes it happen?
Yeah, there's a few, right? There's a few scattered throughout the country that are doing exceptionally well. What does it come down to? One, someone is ridiculously passionate about it and drives it from the inside. And the other piece is that senior leadership buy into it too and support it. So they not only have you got people from inside the business driving it, but they're willing to put time and money from a business into it later on, right? Once the person has got things up off the ground. And there's some really passionate people in this space scattered throughout the country, doing some incredible work. So there's a few Wellbeing Awards that have been given out, HR Wellbeing Awards that have been given out a couple of times. So I think maybe the most decorated will be Philippa Powell. Philly Powell from X-Chorus. She's gone out on her own now. She's actually doing a wellbeing tick. So just like we have for other things, diversity or rainbow tick, she's doing a wellbeing tick because of her expertise that she's learnt over the years. And that's, again, something that businesses are able to pick up and invest in to be able to be known for having the tick. A little bit harder for small businesses, though, to be able to pick this kind of stuff up. That's why we try and make it really easy and simple stuff with the check-in, rather than having to invest a whole lot of stuff to meet a framework.
A good friend of mine, he's got a building. He's a chippy, a carpenter. He's got about 4 staff members, and he'll turn up to work. We talk about this all the time. He'll turn up to work and hey, look, guys, I'm going through a little bit of stuff at home. This is the reason I'm just going to be a little bit quiet today because XYZ reasons. And he said it's empowered his employees to do the same to him. So and their team is so tight and so good at the moment. They're working really hard because everyone wants everything done by Christmas because they're carpenters. It's just a simple little thing for him. He just wanted to share what he's going through with his team, and it has really helped his business move forward. So and he's a small business, super small business.
Yeah, and it's like, Craig, that's exceptional. That is leading with vulnerability. Right? That is building connection and trust so that people around him can move the mask and they can be honest with him. And that builds stronger connection because you understand each other more and you can walk side by side rather than a leader being up on a pedestal. So that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And the first real impactful story and stuff that I've seen similar to that, Craig, is She's Not Your Rehab. And the work that the founders of that are doing down in Christchurch with the barbershop down in Christchurch and Aitatahi. It's incredible work that they're doing in prisons, but just within the barbershop, all the barbers come in the morning and they have a corridor around what's going on. There's hugs, occasionally tears before they start work because they're being open. Because they trust each other and they get support. Whereas traditional Kiwis, we just box it all up and everything's right, and then we take it out on something else, which is so wrong. And we need to learn that actually being not okay is okay, and saying that you're not okay takes incredible strength.
If there's 2 books that I could recommend, The Obstacle is the Way from Ryan Holiday, and The Mask of Masculinity, also from Ryan Holiday. Super cool books to read if anyone's out there wanting to read a book or jack it into Audible. Hey, Craig, I'm conscious of time, so I've got 2 quick questions that I want to ask you. What would be your single most valuable piece of advice for a business regarding managing a team right now?
We're all tired right now. So thank the Lord, it's almost summer holiday break for those that are fortunate enough to be in an industry where you can take a break. I think the number one thing is just acknowledging the incredible work that individuals have gone. Show some true gratitude for the people that have supported you. Pick up the phone and talk to them and say thank you, whether they are paid employees or not, those that have been part of your network. That gratitude piece and thanks might be the bit that really helps the person on the other end of the phone, but it will also help you as well. Acknowledging that your team have got a whole heap of uncertainty, so name it. So acknowledge that there's some big shit going on in the world right now, but we're here to support you. We're here for you is something that people need to hear. And let's just focus on the things that we can control. So it's the number one thing that I'm kind of work on with my team at the moment is don't worry about the fringe stuff that are out of our control. That's stress, and energy that's going in places that it's pointless because you can't influence it. Just narrow your focus. Do the basics really well and get a break. Come back in new year, maybe new you, and let's tackle whatever throws at us because who knows what's going to be coming at us, Craig? Like it could be anything, right? Like,
Who knows?
Who knows? But the dealing with what's in front of us rather than worrying about the boogeyman that's coming around the corner is really, really important.
I'm in the events industry, and obviously it's been quite tricky since August. I have not actually done an event, but the one thing that I've done as well, it's not in my control. I can only base my decision on what we know right now, and right now might be different to what it's going to be in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 6 weeks. or next February, but all I can do is base it on what it is right now. So yeah, that's what's in my control. What's going to happen potentially, not in my control. Last question, man. What sort of content do you consume socially for your little bit of escapism? Do you have anything that you do as a podcast, social media, page groups? Do you read, Netflix, surf?
Surf and run.
Surf and run?
Yeah. I deleted Facebook and Instagram and
Yeah?
Twitter months ago now. So it'll be coming up 8 months, I think. I've been off that. I'm on LinkedIn because I have to for work. They made me.
You're good on LinkedIn too. You're good.
Yeah.
You've got that dialed in.
Other than that, bro, I'm off social media. I don't consume a lot of news either. It's just too negative for me. So I tried to turn off a little bit of that and go to trusted sources every now and again to be able to get an update of what's going on. But yeah, I escape by going for a run. I used to run listening to podcasts because we have to be so productive, right? To learn or do whatever.
Passive learning, yep.
Yeah, all that rubbish. But I realized that actually I need time to distill and decompartmentalize what's happened in my day. So I run with no music and just let my brain go. And it's so good. For an hour, just hitting the pavement and my brain can go wherever it needs to go. And now coming into summer, I'm just looking forward to sitting out the back with the kids, sitting on the surfboard, hanging out. That's kind of my happy place.
I don't know if you're tracking it at the moment, but there is a tropical cyclone coming down. It's currently in between the top of the North and Norfolk Island, so hopefully we're going to get a bit of a run of swell. I'm 35 minutes from the beach here. I used to live in Raglan for 11 years, but hey, the Mount Maunganui is pretty good as well on its day.
Yeah, I'm currently sitting in Waihi Beach, so went out for a wave a couple of days ago. It wasn't too bad, but she's messy and a bit black at the moment. But yeah, look, I'm definitely tracking it, Craig.
It should be swinging offshore tomorrow, so you'll be in for some waves down there for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Nice.
All right, Craig, man, this has been super cool. I really do appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy. Thank you. I just want to say I work a lot alongside your team for the Small Business and Entrepreneur Festival and the All Epic. So, and every one of them, they're amazing to work with or work alongside. So it's a credit to you as well. So you have an epic Christmas and New Year's, and say, and hope everything goes to plan for 2022.
Whatever that plan may be. Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Craig. Who knows?
All right,
yeah. Kia ora, everyone. Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye.